pursuant to the applicable law, and my determination that attendance by remote means is necessary because an in-person meeting is neither practical nor prudent due to the declared public health disaster caused by COVID-19. This meeting is conducted via video conference. It is being recorded and will be posted on the SSA website shortly. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Since this is a community meeting, there are no minutes or anything needing approval. Ramond is keeping the record of what transpires tonight, and so far we have 4 members. Thank you all for coming out tonight. The purpose of this meeting is actually to explain what it means that we have an 8% increase in our EAV. So when we submitted our budget to the city, which we're required to do annually for the coming year, the city notified, the Chicago Department of Planning and Development notified us that our budgeted request had increased by over 5%. An increase over 5% requires a community meeting to explain it to the community why your budget went up by 8%. So that's the main topic of our meeting tonight, along with how this impacts the SSA. Hopefully it won't be a waste of everyone's time. We appreciate, we have some more joinees. Thank you, James. Thank you, Greg, for joining us tonight. Glad to see you both. Greg, there comes James. Yeah.
Hey, thanks.
Good. I see Eric joining us, so we'll wait just another moment till everybody gets in. We almost have a quorum. Not that we need one for this meeting. Hi, Eric. How are you doing tonight?
Hello. How's everybody doing?
We're hanging in
Good.
there.
Good to
Good,
see
good.
you.
for joining us.
Yep.
Don't need to be wearing this.
Yay.
You're
I'm
in
in
the
the car.
car, so we can see your face. Yes. It's just odd to see faces. Oh, Wendy is joining us. Wow. Diane and I were taking bets this afternoon whether or not we would be the only 2 showing up tonight. We thought for a while we might be, but Ramon and Mary and now the rest of you all are coming in. Thank you very much.
Yep.
And you are all being recorded. You just missed me giving the required city disclaimer that this is being video recorded and will be made available on our website, so you've all been forewarned. Have any of you gone to YouTube yet and checked yourselves out? It's up there. It's really scary. You're all YouTube stars, so it's very scary. You know who looks really good on the YouTube? Is Charles Newsom. He looks like a star when he's on that camera. He shines in there. So we're gonna have to tease him about that. So again, thank you all for joining us tonight. I saw we lost Wendy again. She must be having trouble getting in. I was just about to explain that the purpose of this meeting is to discuss our increase in EAV, our equalized assessed value. And since it was sort of anticipating that we might have people join us tonight who are not commissioners on the SSA, there might be some commentary about what is the SA or what's the SSA for, what's the SSA doing. So I prepared a little presentation about what the SSA is. I don't think we need to go through that part of it at this point unless we're joined by other people before we're done. But I do have some.
I would recommend it because it's recorded.
It is recorded, so we can.
So we're going to go through. George and I are going to go through our agenda.
A true community meeting, and since this is not a commissioners meeting per se, Robert's rules of order are relaxed. It is, since there's no meeting minutes or anything like that. So if you have questions or comments, feel free to raise them. Just interrupt or raise your hand or yell at me or something. We will try to keep any questions and comments short. We'll try to observe the 3-minute rule just in case some other people join us, but we do feel free to butt in at any point and raise your questions or your issues. And so when we submitted our budget a few weeks ago to the city, we were surprised to get a message back saying, well, your EAV exceeds 5%, and any EAV increase over 5% requires a community meeting to explain it to the community why your EAV has gone up. And we all looked at one another and said, what the heck? What does that mean? Why did our EAV go up? Why do we need to explain it to people? What is going on here? So I did a little homework. I was thinking, okay, EAV, equalized assessed value, property tax. And so the amount that we're requesting, the total amount that we're requesting in terms of property tax has increased to almost 8% of what we got last year. This is not an 8% rise in our amount. Our current level is 0.65, and that has not changed. But that actually is the source of the 8% increase, as I'll try to explain to you in a few minutes. If I can share my screen, let me launch the little PowerPoint, and you all please feel free to chime in or ask your questions or whatever. So trying to be social and, not there. Trying to be social and put the best foot forward, and thinking in terms of this is really a step towards our reconstitution. This community meeting is just the first of many that we're going to be required to have as reconstitution proceeds further. I thought, okay, let's put a good face on all of this. So we welcome you all to Special Service Area 61 Hyde Park, commonly referred to locally as Downtown Hyde Park. And no, we did not invent that term. It's been in use since the 1970s. We've just resurrected it and are trying to brand our business district with it. And if you aren't familiar with the SSA, this is who we are. So the big blue marks indicate the footprint of the SSA. You will see that, and on the right-hand side in the red, you'll see a description of our footprint and who we serve. More than 400 businesses in that footprint. And our budget is broken into 7 categories, and the SSA is overseen by commissioners who are appointed by the mayor and approved by the city council, and that all of our activities are carried out by our service provider, the Southeast Chicago Commission. You'll also see on this map the bane of our existence, which is the little purple border that skirts around about 80% of our footprint, which is the 53rd Street TIF. So the property tax values that go into the TIF do not get rebated to the SSA, and so that really puts the limit on how much we're able to collect. And that will not change until we reconstitute and rewrite our ordinance, or until the TIF expires, whichever happens first.
Can I ask a question, George?
Yeah, you bet.
So are you saying that all of the area of the SSA that is in the purple outline,
Yes.
that we don't get any of the tax money from that?
We get, so when the TIF started, the tax, a TIF is a tax cap on what the city, the county, and the state can get. It was frozen when the TIF started 20 years ago. We get our income from that frozen part. Increase, which is supposed to go to the SSA, does not. It stays within the TIF. It is not rebated to the TIF. So the amount that we get from the purple area is exactly, more or less, the same amount that we were getting 8 years ago when we started. All of our increase has come from the areas that are outside of the purple boundaries. That's a simplification, but it is pretty close to the actuality of how it operates. So the TIF keeps everything that's over that frozen level. Our 0.65 comes out of the frozen level. We're just splitting it with everybody else at this point. Does that sort of make sense?
Yes.
It's very confusing, and
Yes.
I'm often convinced the city doesn't understand it as well. but you know, certain little areas are, because of that, are key to us, such as this little stretch over here on 53rd Street by Hyde Park Boulevard, which is outside of the TIF, Hyde Park Shopping Center, everything that are included within our district over on 55th Street. So those become extremely important to us. And of course, you'll notice that we do not include City Hyde Park. That's a separate TIF, and that's exempted altogether from our footprint.
So George, what would make the amount go up above the frozen area?
Within the purple space, only expiration of the TIF. So when the TIF dies in 2 years, as it's scheduled to do, then we will get a big jump in our income. That's assuming that it does go away. or if the state rewrites our ordinance so that we get the rebate. You know, we've been fighting for the rebate for several years, and the city has finally come out and said, no, that's not going to happen. The only way it's going to happen is if they rewrite the ordinance that oversees the SSA, the law that oversees SSA 61. And that's possible when we reconstitute, and I think that needs to become one of the key hallmarks of our reconstitution process. The aldermen have expressed support for doing that, and are willing to work with us to see if we can't do that.
And what makes the increase outside of the TIF area?
Rise in property values. So when the university fixes up the Hyde Park Shopping Center, its property values rise. And when that rise, so does our income. But that explains why we've been very static for 8 years, you know, that we really haven't seen much of an increase at all, because most of the increase in value has been over here around Harper Court and in the surrounding areas that are all still within the TIF, you know, like the 5252 building on Cornell, all part of the TIF. So we do not know what will happen to the TIF. The TIF is up in the air, and we just have to wait and see. And it's one of those things that we watch carefully. More questions about this? This is good education for all the SSA commissioners too. So here's where the EAV comes in. I took 2 screenshots. The text up here in the upper right hand corner of the small print explains why we're having this meeting. And it's really based on 2 things. It's really visible. Sorry, not based on 2 things. It's really visible when you compare 2 different years. These 2 blocks here on the left were last year, 2020. The 2 blocks on the right are this coming year. And if you look at them carefully, you'll see last year our request amount was $273. Our estimated tax rate was 0.6364%. That gave us an increase of 0.22% in our income from $272,830 to $273,420. Bingo, we went up, you know, $600 or something. I mean, you know, almost nothing. So when we were working on this year's budget and I saw this, the first thing that struck me was, why is it 6364? Our minimum cap is 0.65. Why isn't it 0.65? So I said to Diane, why don't we raise our numbers and let's get it up to 0.65, which is what our minimum cap should be. So we did. And here's the results. So with it set at 0.6525%, our levy went from 273 to 295. Now, if you do the math, that's an 8% increase in how much money we're getting. This is where the estimated assessed value comes in. It went up by 8% because we raised our tax rate to what was supposed to be our minimal rate. I mean, we didn't even elevate it. We just got it up to where it was supposed to be. Getting up to where it was supposed to be increased our revenue by $20,000. So we will have an extra $20,000 next year because we did that. It's my understanding this has been presented to City Council. It went to City Council last week, and I believe it was approved. So these are accurate working numbers going forward. So those two comparisons from last year to this year explains why our values went up. When I heard that 8%, I thought it made it sound like that we had increased how much we were asking for to 8%. And of course it's not. We're simply asking for what by law we're supposed to ask for minimally, which is the 0.65%. So who knew that 0.02% would make a $20,000 difference in our estimated income for the coming year? That's $20,000 I'm sure that we will find a way to put to use, I hope, in fiscal year 2020. So in order to go forward with this, here we go, you can see the 2 areas highlighted. The recent projects, you know, we have to figure out how to spend this money. So I wanted to identify to our audience who are not usually at every meeting, how we have been spending money. You all know how we spend money with flower baskets and banners and power washing and clean slate and trash abatement and the business rebates and the farmers market. We are working on some new projects at the moment that we've got approval from the alderman to commission 2 new murals. One is at 55th. This upper one over here is at 53rd and at 55th and right by the viaduct. This is Kikuya over here on the left, the little restaurant to the left-hand side. This is right across from where the Dare building is, and right now it's just a blank wall. I mean, there's nothing on it. And then there's another one in exactly the same position at 55th Street. This is right next to Choli's Pizza and the Falcon, where we have Love Frank, who has taken it over as his signature wall. Love Frank 2021. We're going to displace Frank and put something a little bit more organized on there. We've also gotten the new little gardens in over at 53rd and Woodlawn, so at Kembark Plaza. There's actually 2. This only shows one of them. And then, as we'll be talking about a little later in our meeting tonight, the landscaping that's going in at the United Church. So these are current projects. But I'd ask Diane, could you talk about how we were going to be anticipating spending money in the coming year? So this is straight out of our budget proposal. Diane, you want to take these over?
Yes. Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Diane Burnham, the Executive Director of Southeast Chicago Commission, the service provider for Special Service Area 61 Hyde Park. Looking forward to 2022, as we drafted our 2022 budget that has been approved by our commissioners as well as City Council. The SSA 61 is working to return, some kind of normalcy and continue supporting businesses with our regular special services, which are streetscape enhancement, litter abatement, viaduct cleaning, power washing, and flower planting and banners and those things. We have added one priority for 2022, and that is preparing for the SSA reconstitution process. Please be on the lookout for future community meetings explaining that process and why we need your support. Another area that we have planned to expand is our Hyde Park Farmers Market. At the end of 2021 season, we had 18 vendors participate. We are looking to get to 25 vendors, and in our new location in the Hyde Park Bank parking lot. Other things we plan to do in 2022 is at least one facade enhancement program, some public art installations, as well as potentially another mural project. Placemaking projects such as crosswalk designs, as you see in the presentation. Also bringing back some holiday activations. We are going to bring back the Hyde Park holidays this year, but we're hoping to do some other kinds of activations next year to engage foot traffic in the business corridor. And then focusing on the branding of the 3 sections of the SSA. So we have really, 3 main areas, 53rd in Hyde Park, 53rd in Woodlawn, and 55th in Lake Park, which are really the connectors and the corridor. Lastly, we plan to look at implementing some sort of public outreach program to better support transient and homeless population that migrates to 53rd Street by continuing to work with City of Chicago and their homeless prevention programming. So that's just a little snapshot of what we're trying to do in 2022.
Thank you very much, Diane. That was very helpful. And hopefully it shows to the world that the SSA really is more than just flower baskets. As much as I love the flower baskets, there's a lot of different activities that we bring to our business district. I did want to take the last little bit of the presentation just as a quick second to thank the people who usually are not recognized or thanked for all they do for the SSA. You can see here the list of commissioners who make the SSA work and happen. And I personally am sort of proud of the mix of people we have. We have the very big and we have the very small, and I think that's what makes our SSA in Hyde Park so special. So my thanks especially goes to all the people who have participated, who served as officers, who show up for the meetings, who read through all the handouts and the budgets and stuff. And if you do want to follow the SSA, On the right-hand side, I've posted our websites, our Instagram account, our Facebook account, our Twitter account, all of which are being more active these days. If you are a commissioner, be sure to add them and go in and like and share so it helps spread the word of what the SSA is doing. And if you're wondering about the picture at the bottom of the page, that's our latest project that we're doing, helping with the landscaping by the United Church on 53rd Street. It's my understanding that not this particular fencing, but new fencing is being installed later this week, so that we will look forward to seeing how the lawns along 53rd Street will benefit from that. So that's an effort to just explain a bit about what the SSA does and what it has accomplished and what it hopes to accomplish in the future. I do have the budget available if anyone wants to see it, but I doubt that anyone actually wants to get into that sort of a detail. But it is on my computer if anyone needs to look at it. Are there questions or anything that anyone would like to raise about our discussion? Hopefully there are no objections to us setting our minimum cap back up to where it really is supposed to be at 0.65 of 1%. I mean, it's just a couple of years ago it slipped down and we never noticed. And so at least we're back where we should be.
Nice presentation. Thank you.